A young priestess has formed her first adventuring party, but almost immediately they find themselves in distress. It's the Goblin Slayer who comes to their rescue, a man who's dedicated his life to the extermination of all goblins by any means necessary. And when rumours of his feats begin to circulate, there's no telling who might come calling next. So when I first read about this anime, it looked really good. So I decided to watch the first episode, and well, all I can say is it got dark really quickly. Now a lot of people aren't really happy with it, but some people are, and that is because of the scenes that happen within Goblin Slayer. Now I don't think that really matters at all, and I think Goblin Slayer, so far as the first episode, is quite good. So there will be spoilers ahead, and we're going to be having a look at why Goblin Slayer works. Goblin Slayer has had a little bit of a mixed reception with the first episode release, and that's because of the events that go around the goblins, and they are being portrayed as being really bad, as the stuff that they do to the girls are just horrible. So I'm here today to explain why I think Goblin Slayer works. So please voice your opinions for Goblin Slayer in the comments down below, and tell me what you think about, should these scenes have been included, or did they go a bit too far with this? So Goblin Slayer is a fantasy world, and we've already established that they have a guild which give out tasks to the adventurers, and they have ranks determining how good they are. So they start off at porcelain, and then they work their way up through the ranks. So we get introduced to our main protagonist, and straight away she's just entered the guild, and she already gets picked up because they kind of need her help. So they do what all novice adventurers do, and they go out attacking goblins. Goblins being the lowest form of life form that they are able to attack, so it's fairly easy for them. So they band together and they end up going into a cave, in which things take a turn for the worst, as when they go in there, yes, they've got a task to take out these goblins, but they made some mistakes, and they very much underestimate the goblins. So we've established that this world is really colourful, but then it takes a really dark turn, and that's when they go into the cave, and the cave sets the scene. It becomes dark, it becomes eerie, and it's just a place you don't really want to be because they can't see where they're going, and everything's just a little bit sinister. As the group gets surrounded, the goblins begin to attack, but if this was a normal fantasy world, the goblins would just attack like normal, but not in this world, not at all. As the goblins are hacking a boy to death, literally dismantling his body, and then show scenes where it looks like the girls are being raped. Now, yeah, this isn't good at all. It's mainly why everyone is so stirred up about it, but it works as a dark fantasy world because they're trying to get across how dark and despicable these goblins really are. They're trying to create a sense that we, the viewer, should really hate these goblins. They are the scum of the earth, and we should hate them with the uttermost disgust. And yeah, they might have pushed it a little bit too far with these rape scenes of the girls, but it's a non-realistic fantasy world, and I guess, yes, you can argue that they could have showed it in a different way, but this is the way they chose to go about it here because it's got everyone talking about it. Yes, it was bad, but in a sense, it's got more people to know about the series. And the way they showed us in the first episode is the fact that this is how Goblin Slayer is going to be. It's going to be dark. It's going to be bad. If you don't like that sort of stuff, you're not going to like it. So with them showing us this in the first episode, I guess it sort of shows us that this is what Goblin Slayer is going to be. This is what we are in for. So it doesn't come too much of the shock later on if you don't enjoy that sort of stuff, and they decide to plop a rape scene halfway through, and then it's like, oh, my favourite series that I've been enjoying has suddenly taken this really dark twist turn, and we don't like it anymore. But no, they started off from the very beginning showing us how gruesomely dark Goblin Slayer is, and how gruesomely dark Goblin Slayer is going to be. Now, another big thing that comes up in the first episode is the killing of babies, but not just babies, goblin babies. But the Goblin Slayer justifies this because they are bad, and with them showing us how bad these goblins actually are, it kind of justifies why the Goblin Slayer did this. It's either you kill them as they're young, or they're going to grow up and they're going to do exactly what their parents were doing. So if they didn't show us the rape scene, if they didn't show us how brutally bad the goblins actually are, then maybe the Goblin Slayer could be portrayed as being a bad person as he goes to kill the babies. So everything they're doing is to try and get us to really, really hate these goblins. Because, I mean, that's like the main focus of it. It's a guy slaying goblins, so we've got to really, really hate these people in order to get us to like the Goblin Slayer, going around hacking and killing every goblin he sees. Now, at the beginning, we still don't know who the Goblin Slayer is. We still don't know much about our main character. We still don't know much about the world they are in. So hopefully, as the story progresses, we actually get to know more about the backstory. We get to know about the world that we're in, and we get to know more about this really dark world of goblins and killing and what more is in store for us. Next, our two main characters, we have a priestess who is kind of the light of the show, as she uses magic, which is healing and using magic to create light. So she's seen as a enlightening character who lights up the place. And then we got the dark comparison of the Goblin Slayer with his dark armor and the way he goes out brutally murdering goblins without any remorse whatsoever. So it'd be good to know why he actually does this. So these two characters at the moment aren't really interesting, as we don't really know anything about them. We don't know what their motives are, we don't know where they're going, we don't know what the story's going to be going for next. But where it started is quite interesting, because it's going to give us a good grounds for... we know what the story's going to be about. It's basically what it says on the tin: Goblin Slayer, a guy going around slaying zombies. A guy going around slaying goblins. So the characters at the moment aren't really that interesting. We have a girl that doesn't have a clue what she's doing, and we have a Goblin Slayer who goes around hacking and slashing goblins to death using various weapons. And with the Goblin Slayer killing goblins who are used by low-level adventurers to start making their progress. So it really shows how strong really is the Goblin Slayer, as if he's just going around killing goblins, yes, he's extremely good at it, and he basically one-shots them, and he knows pretty much everything about them. He knows how they work, how they act. How strong actually is he against other people and other bad creatures? As if he just spends his time killing goblins, how good is he actually going to be in the real world? So it'll be interesting to know what happens with the Goblin Slayer and what his character does later on. So what is Goblin Slayer? Well, it is definitely a dark fantasy with emphasis on dark, and it shows this from the very beginning, so you're not going to get that shock later on. So really, it does what it says on the tin. It is a dark fantasy. Everything about it, from the setting, the way they portray things, is all dark. For example, the cave they go into, it's dark and eerie to show that the goblins living there, they are to be despised and hated by all. And then we have the guild, which is happy and bubbly. So there's a lot of contrast with the scenes. Yes, we've only been to a few scenes at the moment, but as the anime progresses, I'd like to see what this world is and where they're going to take it and what adventures is the Goblin Slayer going to go on. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, tell me your opinions in the comments down below, and I'll see you all next time. See ya.